Today on Sports Central, I'll be giving you guys 5 reasons why the Michigan Wolverines are going to beat Iowa and win the Big Ten championship game. And this season has been outstanding, to say the least, for Michigan. They are 11-1, coming off of a huge win against Ohio State, and they've got a chance to be in the college football playoff if they can beat Iowa in the Big Ten title game. So that said, today I'll be giving you guys 5 reasons why the Wolverines are going to win this game and proceed on to the college football playoff. So we're going to go ahead and get started. These reasons will be in no particular order. We'll be starting with number 1, and that's going to be the momentum of this Michigan football team right now. Coming off of a huge win against Ohio State, they're major arch rivals, and of course Michigan hadn't beaten Ohio State since 2011 prior to last Saturday. So that was a huge game for Michigan, finally knocking off the Buckeyes, and Michigan is the leader in the Big Ten East right now. And I mean, this is a huge opportunity for Michigan in this game. I mean, once again, you win this game, you're in the college football playoff. So this is pretty much a playing game for Michigan, and the momentum of this football team right now, I mean, if they can ride the momentum of beating Ohio State and the experience and the positivity that comes from that, I mean, this football team, the way that they played against Ohio State, they can play with any team in the country, and that's going to be huge for this Michigan football team moving forward in pursuing a national championship is exactly that. And I think Michigan can do that. I mean, the way that they played, I mean, they looked outstanding against Ohio State, and the Buckeyes were just coming off of a 56-7 win over Michigan State. So, I mean, Ohio State they were playing outstanding going into that Michigan game, and the Wolverines stopped them short. And it was an outstanding game for Michigan. And once again, the way that they played against Ohio State, they can play with anyone in the country. Number 2 is going to be the pass defense for Michigan. That was a big reason why they beat Ohio State last week, was because of their pass defense. And the weather certainly had an impact on that as well. But for Ohio State, having 3 just outstanding receivers with Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Njigba, I mean, it was outstanding performance by this pass defense. The way they played from start to finish in that game, keeping track of all 3 of those receivers, not allowing many big plays. I mean, it was outstanding for Michigan. And I mean, going up against a Iowa offense that, I mean, they rushed the ball a decent amount. They got Goodson. Then, of course, they got a couple of decent receivers as well. I mean, if Michigan can handle Ohio State the way they did, they should be able to handle Iowa. That's what I'm trying to say here is, I mean, if you look at this Ohio State offense versus Iowa's offense, it doesn't even compare. I mean, Ohio State's offense is 10 times better than Iowa's offense. The Hawkeyes are known for their good defense, and the pass defense for Michigan, and this defense in particular, I really think is going to have a big game against Iowa. And I mean, there's a good chance that Iowa can hardly put up 20 points on the board, 15, 20 points on the board against a pass defense that just allowed 27 to Ohio State. And of course, the Buckeyes being one of the most high-powered offenses in the country, Michigan looked excellent against them. Number 3 is going to be the consistency for Michigan. They did take a loss to Michigan State back a few weeks ago, but then again, they led that game for a long time and kind of slipped up there in the end. But Michigan, all season long, they've played outstanding football games, and they've, from start to finish, I mean, all season long, Michigan has been a big contender because of how consistent they've been and getting those big wins. And I mean, Ohio State, this was a monumental win for Michigan, and this is as good of an opportunity as they could get to make it to the Big Ten title game, going up against an Iowa football team that, I mean, at 10-2, Iowa's, I mean, they're not an incredibly good football team. Like, they were number 2 in the nation at one point this season, but I mean, Iowa's a football team that offensively, they're not very good at all. Defensively, they're very good, but I mean, the consistency of this Michigan football team, I think, is going to be a huge factor here. Iowa isn't quite as consistent of a football team, so we'll see what Iowa team we get in this game, but Michigan certainly has got a benefit there. Number 4 is going to be the offensive depth, and of course, you got an offense here that is, I mean, they're actually a pretty good offense. I mean, rushing-wise, that's really how they beat Ohio State, and of course, you got Cade McNamara, who has had a great season as well. He's come out of nowhere and played very well for the Wolverines. So, I mean, overall, I mean, rushing core, receiving core, this team has got a lot of depth offensively, even on the defensive side too. Don't forget about that. I mean, defensively, they've got a tremendous amount of depth as well. So, I mean, that's a huge positive for Michigan, and they've taken a couple injuries, but I mean, otherwise, this team has been outstanding all season depth-wise. And lastly, number 5, going to be the experience of this Michigan football team. And heading into this 2021 season, there were a few uncertainties for Michigan. No one really knew whether this team would be a big contender or not. I mean, most people expected, including myself, them to be a contender in the Big Ten, but the way that they've finished this regular season has been outstanding, and the experience of this football team is a big factor in that. We've seen This team, I mean, the experience has been a huge factor. They return most everyone starting wise from last season, which has been huge all season long for Michigan. So experience wise, it has been outstanding, and this is Michigan's big opportunity. I mean, this is a huge season for them, and it's a big reason why I think this football team is going to be ready to go and get the win against Iowa. I mean, a lot's at stake here. You got a chance at a college football playoff, and I mean, Georgia's going to be a brutal team to beat in that top 4. But otherwise, I mean, certainly Michigan, I wouldn't be surprised to see this team in the national championship in this 2021 season. But that said, that wraps it up for today. I'll link in this video, or tag in this video, my prediction for the Michigan and Iowa game. And I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you later.